start of the race, right out the gate, I think if you didn't see what happened, you're probably living under a rock because it was a very large accident. It all actually started with Scott Dixon and Felix Rosenqvist, which I did not expect at all. A couple cars side by side. Scott Dixon basically wheel slaps Felix and puts him into the outside wall, kind of looking at turn 3. And so as soon as you get kind of an accordion effect in that type of a high-speed corner, you got to also remember that it's blind. That corner, you can't see what's around it until you get there. So very, very challenging turn in general. And when there's an accordion, you better hope you don't get collected by anyone else. And sure enough, the worst case scenario happened. Basically, Devlin got spun, someone else got into someone, and it just became a complete mess from then on. And for me, my perspective, we got strung out pretty aggressively. I was following Pagenaud, my best friend, of course. It was Renus, Pagenaud, and me into turn 1, and then Benjamin Peterson behind me. And obviously, starting at the back, it's sometimes hard to be side by side because the field gets so strung out. But we're just kind of all single car going into the turn 3. And I see some dust is kicked up. I see moment by moment as I remember it. I'm thinking if something's going to happen, just basically, I love sticking to the outside. I love the outside because there's space. I know there's walls eventually on both places, but for me, sticking to the outside is kind of my normal routine. And it was chaos. I mean, we get around there and there's dust flying because cars are going all over the place. I see Stingray and Renus go hard right, and there's just basically like pieces flying everywhere. And I'm trying to stay left, because the first thing I see is, okay, the cars are going right. So when both cars are drifting right, I think it's Elio and Devlin, I'm like, I am just going to be able to squeeze by. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is calm. The cars are just slowly moving to the right, and I'm barely just going to squeeze by here. I got really lucky that there was just enough space. And then I hear a sound and see something out of the corner of my eye. That was like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. And that car, Devlin's car, basically just disappeared from my view as I was still rolling by. I mean, I thought I felt the impact in my chest. Like, it was crazy. I've never heard anything like that because, again, we wear earplugs, our engines are loud or whatever, but the sound of two objects, fairly large objects, let's say 1,600 pounds, 1,700 pound Indy cars, absolutely demolishing each other, is a wild sound to hear when you're literally like 2 feet from it. I talked to Benjamin afterwards too, and he's like, oh, I think I moved Devlin out of the way for you. I was like, no, I'm sorry, but I was actually already clear, and you just happened to mow the rest of the field. And poor Benjamin, I tell you what, I hated for him. Nice guy. I had dinner with him on Saturday or Friday night, I think, Thursday night. I had dinner with him Thursday night. Him and his family, great people, but just obviously not the way you want your first IndyCar race to go. Glad they were okay, but like, man, when I saw that and when I saw how many cars, like, you were kind of just driving down that straight, like, wow, there's Felix's car, like, he's broken, and then another car is broken, and people are kind of limping around, and then immediately the red flag. I mean, you kind of assumed that was the case, but it was a crazy scenario.